Chapter 1. My wife, Victoria Sterling, used a company matter as an excuse to back out of our daughter's May Day school trip and told us not to go either. Seeing my daughter Sophie disappointed, I decided to take her myself. As soon as I entered the school, I saw Victoria on the main stage, sitting on a sofa with her old flame, Ethan Pierce, and his son. They looked intimately like a family of three. Victoria held a microphone, speaking eloquently about achieving a perfect family and a successful career, occasionally exchanging smiles with Ethan as she spoke. The audience applauded enthusiastically. Victoria's expression grew more smug, and even the little boy beside her, Daniel, looked arrogant. Soon, it was time for questions. I snatched a microphone. "Excuse me, Miss Sterling. Since when did you have a son? Does your husband know?" The moment I finished speaking, the students and parents in the audience started murmuring, looking at me with strange and disdainful glances. Who is this guy? So rude. I bet he's jealous of Miss Sterling's husband and just wants her attention. Miss Sterling runs a company worth billions. It's no surprise some guys dream of being her side piece. How shameless. On the stage, Victoria's expression flickered with panic when she saw me, but she hid it well. Ethan Pierce beside her, however, lost his composure. He feigned anger and hurt, asking, "Victoria, what does he mean by that?" I ignored him, looking straight at Victoria. "Miss Sterling, you still haven't answered my question." Victoria subconsciously brushed a stray hair from her forehead, then tightly grasped Ethan's hand in front of everyone. "This is my answer." Ethan looked moved and pulled her into a closer embrace. The crowd gasped. Wow, what true love PDA, right in front of everyone. Miss Sterling is really the ideal woman, a successful career woman, and so devoted to her husband and child. Amazing, they looked at me with even more contempt. Tried to stir up trouble and got shut down, huh? Look at that sponger daring to compare himself to Miss Sterling's husband. Everyone knows her husband holds a key position at Mingja Group, Miss Sterling's right-hand man. How could a loser like this compare? Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Victoria. "Sincere, don't misunderstand. I promised Ethan I'd pretend to be Daniel's mother for a day. He lost his mom young, it's pitiful. But you, instead of listening to me, you embarrass me in public like this. Stop causing trouble." A cold sneer escaped my lips. Victoria has always been ambitious, which is why after marrying her, I fully supported her career. I appointed her general manager, backing her from behind the scenes. But now, she seems to have forgotten who's really in charge. Mingja Group was founded by my grandfather, and I hold 75 of the shares. I quickly texted the HR and legal departments at Mingja Group. Today, right here in front of everyone, I was going to fire her as general manager. My daughter Sophie couldn't stand hearing people insult me and angrily shouted back, "What nonsense are you talking? Victoria Sterling on stage is my mom, my dad is her real husband, that man is the other man." The onlookers burst out laughing, their tone increasingly mocking, like father, like daughter, I guess. So young and already trying to latch onto wealth. Such bad character. Miss Sterling was just showing affection publicly. How could their little family be fake? Daniel Pierce, who had come down from the stage, suddenly rushed over, glaring viciously at Sophie. "Who are you calling the other man's son? You and your dad are crazy, trying to muscle, and have you no shame?" He raised his hand to hit her, but I intercepted him firmly. My gaze fell on Victoria, who stood a few steps away. "Victoria, I'm giving you one last chance. Aren't you going to explain?" Chapter 2. Victoria frowned at me, then after a moment said coldly, "Sir, I don't know you. I have manners, but that doesn't mean I'll tolerate you repeatedly slandering my husband and son." Our group's legal team is not to be trifled with. Sophie gasped, indignant and incredulous. "Mom, what are you saying? You don't even recognize Dad and me anymore?" The surrounding crowd burst into laughter. "Little girl, are you addicted to this act? You better drag your dad away before Miss Sterling really lowers the boom. You common folks can't afford to mess with the power of Mingja Group." Even Sophie's own classmates started looking at her with disgust. "Sophie, you're so disgusting. You usually seem so well-mannered. but deep down you're this rotten." Sophie grabbed Victoria's sleeve, pleading, "Mom, what's wrong with you? Why are you saying you don't know us? Please, stand up for Dad and me. Didn't you hear how horribly they're insulting Dad?" Victoria rudely pushed her daughter's hand away. Sophie staggered back a couple of steps, her face etched with hurt. At the same time, Ethan Pierce intertwined his fingers with Victoria's, looking at me with unconcealed provocation. I instantly understood. Ethan knew everything. I immediately reached out and pulled Sophie close. "Sophie, since she won't acknowledge you, from now on, you don't have to acknowledge her either." As I finished speaking, Victoria's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly. A moment later, my phone vibrated again. "And sincere," I already explained. "I'm just being Daniel's mom for a day. Why don't you have any empathy? If I acknowledged you, how could Ethan and Daniel face everyone later? How could Daniel even go to school? Since if you hadn't insisted on making a scene, none of this would have happened. You deserve the insults. Now take your daughter home and reflect on what you've done." I couldn't help but sneer. It seemed she'd been in the general manager's seat for too long and had forgotten who gave her that power. Just then, the teacher organizing the school trip hurried over to mediate, saying the fun run event was about to start. As we walked towards the athletic field, Ethan Pierce brushed past me, a triumphant smirk on his lips. "A sponger like you only deserves to be dumped. Only a career-driven man like me is worthy of a successful businesswoman like Victoria. If you know what's good for you, take your little burden and get lost," I scoffed. "A career-driven man?" Just moments ago, HR had messaged me. Ethan Pierce had only been promoted through Victoria's backdoor connections. He didn't even understand the company's basic operations. Apparently, Ethan only knew I was Victoria's husband, completely unaware that I am the true head of Mingja Group. The company's HR and legal confirmed they had drafted the termination letter and divorce papers and were driving over now. I stayed put, determined to rip apart Victoria and Ethan's hypocritical facade right in front of everyone to get justice for my daughter, and me, Victoria, and Ethan were escorted to the very important person viewing stand, where school administrators and parents alike fawned over them with eager compliments. Victoria held her chin high, looking down on everyone, her eyes brimming with smug satisfaction. Meanwhile, Sophie was already on the running track. She managed a weak smile at me, and I waved to cheer her on. Suddenly, disaster struck. Daniel Pierce darted onto Sophie's lane and stuck out his leg. Caught completely off guard, Sophie pitched forward violently. I rushed over. My daughter's face was contorted in pain. Large beads of cold sweat dotted her forehead, and both her knees were scraped raw and bloody. My heart clenched in pain. But the culprit, Daniel, looked triumphant, laughing smugly. "That'll teach you and your daughter to mess with us. See if you dare try that again." Furious, I was about to punch him, but Victoria blocked me, protectively shielding Ethan and his son. "Enough, it was just kids fooling around. Are you, an adult, really going to make a big deal out of it?" My chest heaved with anger. "Fooling around? Open your damn eyes and see how much pain she's in. That was clearly intentional assault." Ethan Pierce chuckled leisurely, pulled a wad of cash from his wallet and scattered it over Sophie, but his eyes were fixed on me. "All this fuss you two made, wasn't it all about money? Here's compensation for the injury. Take it and get lost." The observing parents were already laughing. They looked at my daughter and me with contempt, solely focused on currying favor with Victoria and Ethan. "See that? That's what happens when you offend the rich and powerful. You just have to swallow your pride, even if you lose a tooth besides. This father and daughter started it by provoking Miss Sterling's family. They brought this on themselves. Even if she broke her leg, she deserves it since Miss Sterling's husband gave you money. Hurry up and scram." Sophie was being treated by the school nurse. She looked pleadingly at Victoria, but Victoria turned her head away. Sophie's gaze slowly dimmed. She grasped my hand. "Dad, you were right. Starting today, I don't have a mother anymore." Chapter 3. Hearing Sophie's words, Victoria frowned almost imperceptibly, then shot me a reproachful look. My gaze swept past her, settling on the sycophantic parents' business owners who sucked up to the powerful and cursed my daughter and me with the most vicious words. I looked at them one by one, calling them out. The Zhangs in aluminum alloys, the Lucent cement, the Mengs in soy products. As I calmly and clearly named them, these parents stared blankly, stunned because I was correct. Mingjia Group has vast business interests, and all of them depended on Mingjia Group for their livelihood. I announced firmly, starting today, Mingjia Group will terminate all cooperation with you. They looked surprised at first, then burst into laughter, crowding around Victoria. Look everyone, this guy's lost his mind first. He claims he's Ms. Sterling's real husband. Now he's saying he represents Mingjia to cut ties with us. It's ridiculous. Bullshit, who the hell do you think you are? Ms. Sterling hasn't said anything. Why are you acting crazy? Someone call a mental hospital and get this guy committed. Victoria's eyes darkened. Her face grew grim. She stepped forward and whispered to me, sincere, I've solidified my position in Mingjia. Do you really think you can make waves? That you still call the shots? Get lost and go home. I gave her a meaningful look but didn't answer. Instead, I turned to the laughing crowd and Ethan Pierce. Everyone seems to have misunderstood one thing. Victoria Sterling is indeed the general manager of Mingjia Group, but I call the shots. Ethan looked astonished, then laughed until tears came to his eyes. He really is crazy. I've been with Mingjia Group for so long, and I only know my wife is the general manager. I've never even seen this lunatic. He probably doesn't even know which way the company entrance faces. I smiled without saying anything, because my people were about to arrive. Ethan's position restricted him to the 10th floor of the group headquarters at most. How could he have ever seen me on the 35th? Everyone else joined in the laughter, except Victoria. The look she gave me now could only be described as venomous. I knew it was because she was afraid. Just then, Sophie's phone rang. As soon as she answered, she let out a sharp cry. As if deeply hurt, the speakerphone blared. Such a bad influence at a young age, trying to freeload off her sponger dad. Truly shameless. I quickly hung up, realizing someone had posted today's events online. Worse, someone had fabricated details, twisting the truth to slander my daughter and me, even publishing her phone number and school. My eyes flicked to Ethan Pierce. He was watching me with a provocative smirk, mouthing the words, "A gift for you. Like it?" My daughter began to tremble uncontrollably as a flood of online abuse poured in, followed by one harassing phone call after another. The parents, eager to impress Victoria, surrounded my daughter and me, spewing harsh insults and vicious curses. See? The public knows the truth. You two should rot in a ditch, daring to impersonate Mingjia Group executives. Wait till you're sued into bankruptcy. Mingjia's legal department is notoriously tough. You won't even have a place to cry because you'll lose your house. Someone sneered suggestively. It's simple, isn't it? This guy looks like a pretty boy. Maybe he can crawl into some rich woman's bed? Then he'll have somewhere to cry. Just then, 2 high-end black executive vans roared up. Someone with sharp eyes shouted, "That's the Mingjia Group logo. Senior executives are here." The sycophants looked proud, as if they were part of it, closing in on my daughter and me. Their mouths opened and closed like vipers striking. Until two are finished now. Miss Sterling is truly formidable. Her warnings weren't just talk. She's playing for keeps. You'll lose the shirts off your backs. Someone else raised their phone, eyes glinting predatorily at us. Hey netizens, here's the follow-up to the top trending story about the sponger harassing the female CEO. Follow me for the live stream. Watch how the tycoon tears apart this delusional man. Ethan looked deeply at Victoria, his face alight with surprise. Then, turning to me, his arrogance and triumph were blatant. Daniel, beside him, puffed out his chest proudly. Chapter 4. A flicker of surprise crossed Victoria's face, dark currents swirling in her eyes. She hissed through clenched teeth. Did you call them? Did you have to escalate things this far? I raised an eyebrow, my gaze chilling, but before I could speak, Ethan proudly addressed the crowd. tilting his head high. Sincere, see that? That's Mingja's legal team, undefeated. Today you and your daughter spread rumors and impersonated company personnel with your lies. You'll be leaving here on your knees. He was ecstatic. I called them here. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. HR and legal had just reported this very development to me. Victoria stared at Ethan in disbelief. Ethan gave her a flirtatious wink, completely missing her tense expression. Victoria, I know you've wanted to deal with him for a while. I set it all up for you. Victoria's eyes widened in shock, a curse ready on her lips. But the group emerging from the vans walked straight past me, heading directly to Victoria and Ethan. They bowed respectfully. Madam General Manager, we received a message from Special Assistant Pierce and came to deal with someone damaging the company's reputation. Victoria breathed a sigh of relief. Looking back at me, her eyes revealed smug satisfaction. It's those two. Deal with them properly. The sycophantic parents spared no effort in their mockery. What a truly delusional man. Didn't you say you call the shots at Mingja Group? Go on, say something, see if these people listen to you. Look how arrogant he was earlier. Now he's been put in his place. Ha, Mr. Miller, the lawyer, walked towards me, his eyes disdainful, his tone sharp. To sir, damaging Mingja Group's reputation carries damages starting in the millions. Here is a legal notice. I watched him with an ironic smile, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. From the moment you arrived. Here, you've been fired. The chief legal counsel had already told me he wouldn't intervene, letting Miller make his own choice. Let these opportunists trying to hitch their wagons to Victoria and Ethan reveal themselves. It was the perfect chance to clean house. He's lost it. The man's completely insane. Mingja Group's lawyers are right here, and he's still cosplaying as the chairman. What's the point of pretending to be crazy? Didn't you hear? Damages start at $1 million. I bet he doesn't even have $10,000. He'll end up in jail. Victoria walked up. To me, her eyes flashing with triumph and arrogance. A legal notice has been issued. The lawsuit won't be far behind. Playing dumb won't help you then. I don't like bullying people, but the group's reputation and my husband's cannot be tarnished. If you admit, in front of everyone and the live cameras, that everything today was done with ill intent and apologize to Ethan, I can let this go. Then, she lowered her voice so only I could hear. Sincere, this is the last olive branch I'm offering you. Don't be foolish. Do you see anyone in the group who still listens to you? I retorted bluntly. Victoria, you are truly shameless. You know damn well what the truth is. The sycophants grew indignant, Ms. Sterling is being generous, but this mad dog doesn't deserve it. Sue him into bankruptcy. Serve him right for barking and biting wildly. Yes, sue him. Till he's ruined. Just then, a fleet of over a dozen extended Lincoln limousines pulled up sequentially at the school gate, nearly blocking half the street. My God, what is happening? Am I dreaming about this kind of procession? This first time in my life seeing something like this. The car doors opened in unison, and out stepped figures radiating authority in bespoke suits. The sycophants who had been surrounding me moments ago now stared wide-eyed, utterly shocked. That's Mingja's chief operating officer. He was just on the financial news channel 2 days ago. That's Mingja's chief legal counsel. I heard he's a Harvard law grad who made his name internationally with a cross-border case right after graduation. I've seen that person at an international forum. He's a renowned expert in talent management. Heavens, what day is it today? I can't believe I'm seeing so many titans. Ms. Sterling must have called them to back up Mr. Pierce. Ethan, who had been dumbfounded, started trembling with excitement upon hearing this. Victoria, you did all this for me? I'm so moved I couldn't help but curve my lips into a sarcastic smile. With Victoria's credentials, she wasn't even qualified to polish these people's shoes. How could she possibly summon them? Chapter 5. Victoria stared intently at me, her hands unconsciously clenched into fists. Ethan, oblivious, excitedly pulled Victoria along, hastily adjusting his collar. Victoria, quick, introduce me to them. Victoria let Ethan drag her before this veritable assembly of elites. She forced her most gracious smile. "Gentlemen, what brings you all here today?" But the group ignored them completely, leaving Victoria and Ethan standing there, their eager expressions turning awkward. The chief legal counsel walked straight up to me. "Mr. Clark, everything you requested is here. That title, Mr. Clark," implying Chairman Clark, struck like a thunderclap. The watching parents and teachers looked utterly bewildered. "Mr. Clark? Who's Mr. Clark? Did I hear that right?" These VIPs, the kind you only see on TV, are calling this mad dog Mr. Clark. Their expressions became increasingly complex. How is that possible? There must be some mistake. Ethan watched as the usually aloof executives treated me with utmost respect, his face frozen stiff. Victoria's gaze locked onto me, her temples throbbing. And Mr. Miller, the lawyer who had been swaggering before me just moments ago, now held the documents with trembling fingers. His voice shook. "Boss, Mr. Harrison, what are you doing here?" David Harrison, the chief legal counsel beside me, glanced at him coolly. "Don't call me boss, because as of today you are no longer part of Mingxia Group's legal team." Mr. Miller was close to tears. "What did I do wrong?" "Hey, you served a legal notice on the chairman himself, and you ask what you did wrong?" When Mr. Miller looked back at me, his expression was one of sheer terror. In that instant, everyone seemed to awaken from a dream. He really is the chairman of Mingxia Group. My God, how can this be? After reviewing the documents I'd just received, I scanned the crowd and nodded. My assistant James immediately understood. The prominent media outlets he had brought quickly set up their equipment, cameras rolling. Then, a massive screen was rapidly unfurled. Boldly written on it were the words, "Mingxia Group Press Conference." At this point, some of those who had insulted me, now sweating profusely, tried to sneak away. I had security quickly form a perimeter. I curved my lips. "Don't you enjoy a spectacle? This is just getting started. Watch till the end before you leave." The owners of the small businesses I had named earlier were now completely dumbfounded. They exchanged glances, gritted their teeth, and abruptly dropped to their knees before me, wailing, "Chairman Clark, please be magnanimous." We were. "Blind fools, our businesses are small. Please spare us this." Once my gaze swept over them, finally landing on Victoria and Ethan's faces. No need to rush. One by one, holding the microphone, I addressed the cameras. Today, news related to Mingxia Group has dominated the top trending lists, including some false rumors. As chairman of Mingxia Group, I am holding this press conference specifically to clarify matters. First, it's rumored online that I deliberately caused trouble to seduce Victoria Sterling, and some even call me the homewrecker trying to usurp her husband's place. But the truth is, Victoria cheated on me with Ethan Pierce and then tried to smear my name. As I said this, I deliberately displayed my marriage certificate with Victoria. When the bright red document was magnified by the cameras, everyone was stunned. There's actually a marriage certificate. My God, I can't believe someone would dare to blatantly bring their lover to a public event and flaunt their affair. No wonder Sincere Clark confronted them. We jumped to conclusions and misunderstood. It's all the fault of that shameless pair, Victoria and Ethan. The crowd now looked at Victoria not with admiration, but deep revulsion. The media crews swarmed forward, zooming in for close-ups on Victoria and Ethan. Ethan frantically covered his face, shouting, "No pictures, you're violating my privacy rights." He wanted to hide, to run, but my security team was not to be trifled with. No one was leaving until this press conference was over. Victoria, enraged and humiliated, strode towards me. "Enough, Sincere. This is our private matter. Get these media people out of here. Did you hear me?" She shrieked viciously, threatening, "If you keep this nonsense up, I'll divorce you." I calmly savored Victoria's impotent rage, took the divorce papers handed to me by the chief legal counsel. Then, I slapped them hard across Victoria's face, emphasizing each word. "I'll grant your wish. Starting today, the Clark family hereby disowns you, you disloyal wretch." Chapter 6. Victoria's face showed a stunned, almost frozen, disbelief. She slowly raised a hand to grasp the divorce papers. A single glance was enough, and she roared at me. What? Leave with nothing? Impossible without needing me to speak. The chief legal counsel beside me stated impassively, If you object, I am prepared to meet you in court at any time. However, to date, no one has ever won a case against me. I nodded approvingly and picked up the microphone again. Second matter, today, before everyone, I am terminating Victoria Sterling's position as general manager and Ethan Pierce's position as special assistant effective immediately. Mingjia Group will permanently blacklist both individuals from future employment. This press conference was being broadcast live on large screens in high-traffic buildings across the city. As I spoke, pedestrians at intersections citywide stopped to watch. Victoria getting kicked out live across the city. Sincere Clark truly lives up to his chairman title. Such a power move, so satisfying to watch, serves the cheating woman right. She only got where she was because of her husband. Now she tried to bite the hand that fed her and got slapped down. Ha. The next moment, Victoria's hysterical expression filled the large screens. I did so much for the company, I refuse to accept this. How dare you fire me with just one word? I am the general manager. My gaze was ice cold, my tone firm and final. I told you before, at Mingjia Group, I call the shots. When I tell you to get lost, you get lost. The head of HR standing behind me added timely clarification. During her tenure as general manager of Mingjia Group, Ms. Victoria Sterling engaged in nepotism and misappropriated company funds. The evidence is conclusive. Not only is the company terminating her employment, but we will also pursue relevant legal liabilities. As for Mr. Ethan Pierce, he is fundamentally incompetent, incapable of handling even basic tasks. His promotion was solely due to his relationship with Ms. Sterling. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. So the so-called general manager was just the tycoon's wife, and the supposed special assistant got his job by being her lover. How could they have the audacity to publicly claim they were successful career people, business elites? Look at the disgusting things these two scumbags did. Do they look like people with any shame? These words struck like repeated slaps across Victoria and Ethan's faces. Victoria's eyes were bloodshot with fury. Ethan's face was deathly pale. He frantically grabbed Victoria. Victoria, what are we going to do? We've lost all face. How can Daniel and I ever show ourselves in public again? Her response was a merciless slap. Victoria completely lost control in front of everyone, screaming, If you hadn't constantly played the victim, whining about how your child never felt a mother's love, begging me to be Daniel's mother for just one day, would any of this have happened? And you have the nerve to ask me what to do? Victoria furiously cursed Ethan, punching and kicking him. Ethan shrieked in pain. Daniel quickly jumped in front of him, yelling, Don't hit my dad. The scene devolved into Victoria being ganged up on by Ethan and his son. She ended up bruised and battered, with one arm fractured. But no one intervened. Everyone watched with the detached interest of spectators at a dogfight. Talk about dogs biting dogs. Victoria playing mom? As if they'd ever accept her good riddance if they kill each other. Scum like them doesn't deserve to live. I watched them coldly as they fought savagely, then raised the microphone once more. This isn't over. Now for the third matter, I intend to pursue legal action against everyone who spread rumors and participated in the online harassment against my daughter, and me today. My legal team had already gathered all the evidence. The main culprit behind the online smear campaign was Ethan Pierce. From the distorted videos he uploaded to the comments steering the narrative, he was inextricably linked. The legal team displayed the collected evidence piece by piece. It was irrefutable. This man is too vicious, one step after another, clearly trying to destroy them completely. Too bad he picked a fight he couldn't win. He's finished now. Everyone knows how powerful Mingjia's legal team is, especially with such solid evidence. He's probably going bankrupt. My God, this is so satisfying. A real-life example of villains getting their just desserts serves him right. Ethan finally understood true fear, his body trembling uncontrollably like a leaf. Realizing he faced financial ruin from the impending lawsuits, he practically crawled over to me, stumbling and pleading, "I was wrong, I was. Wrong, sincere, please forgive me, I apologize, I'll make amends." I looked down at him contemptuously, then kicked him away forcefully. "Get lost, don't dirty my shoes." Lifting my gaze, my eyes, sharp as daggers, fell upon the sycophants who had switched sides, viciously insulting my daughter and me. "Now, it's your turn. Today, every single person who slandered my daughter and me would face the consequences. No one would escape Chapter 7. The moment I finished speaking, these sycophants scrambled to kneel at my feet, faces contorted in terror. "You are a magnanimous man, Chairman Clark. Please grant us a way out," I snorted coldly. "Have you forgotten how high and mighty you were just moments ago? How you judged my daughter and me? We were blind fools, punish us as you see fit. We won't complain, but please, have mercy and let us survive." With that, they began banging their heads hard on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly. But to me this was merely submission born of self-interest, a reaction to my power, not genuine remorse. I signaled James, my assistant. Following my instructions, he played back the school's security footage. This video quickly spread across the internet. On screen, their faces were contorted with malice, like petty villains. They ignored Sophie's explanations in distress, solely focused on flattering Victoria and Ethan. The foulest curses and basest rumors spilled from their mouths. They wielded words as weapons, ruthlessly attacking my daughter and me. In my eyes, they were utterly undeserving of forgiveness. I picked up a thick stack of contract termination documents and scattered them disdainfully over the groveling figures. My voice was like ice. "Do you remember what I said? From this day forward, Mingja Group will never do business with any of you again." They looked up at me, lips trembling, eyes filled with shattered despair. Being cut off by Mingja Group, in this city, meant corporate bankruptcy, industry blacklisting. When they tried to approach me again to plead, security guards ruthlessly dragged them away. At that moment, the top 3 trending topics online were stark. 1. Mingja Chairman Sincere Clark exposes wife's affair, kicks out lover. 2. Victoria Sterling fired live as Mingja Group GM. 3. Ethan Pierce leads online attack, gets humiliated in epic backfire. Although the press conference concluded, the repercussions were far from over. Mingja Group's legal team filed lawsuits against Victoria, Ethan Pierce, and the other online harassers. Justice, delivered by the courts, awaited them. A few days later, Victoria intercepted my car with Sophie inside. One of her arms was in a cast, half her hair had turned white, and she was shockingly thin. Her sincere husband, "I was wrong. I've completely broken things off with Ethan. Please give me another chance. Let's get back together, okay?" I recoiled in disgust, pulling away from her grasp. "Get lost." She turned to Sophie, putting on a pitiful act. "Sophie, look at the state your mother is in. Can you bear it? Please talk to your dad for me. We're family." Sophie looked at her coldly. "From that day on, I no longer have a mother. Please leave." Victoria froze, stunned. In that moment, her face seemed to crack like fragile porcelain, the look of someone grasping desperately at their very last straw, utterly terrified and helpless. I called security. "If you see this person near the villa again, rough her up every single time." Victoria was thrown out unceremoniously, like a stray dog. The court cases proceeded quickly. Victoria was sentenced to several years in prison for corporate crimes. Ethan Pierce was fined heavily for defamation and online harassment. Gossip travels fast, even reaching prison. Victoria's actions were despised there too. She was secretly tormented and fell gravely ill shortly after arriving. Word is, she's barely recognizable now. All of Ethan Pierce's assets were frozen, but they still weren't enough to cover the damages rendered. He became a deadbeat debtor, and his son Daniel had to withdraw from his prestigious private school. After transferring to a regular school, Daniel became the constant target of rumors due to the widely publicized scandal. Gradually, his psyche twisted, and he blamed everything on his father. He screamed hysterically, "If it weren't for you, would I be in this mess? It's all your fault, your vanity. It's all your fault, son. I did it all for you." I truly believe Victoria was a successful businesswoman. I used our past relationship to get close to her. If we had succeeded, we would have been unbelievably wealthy. Who knew? Who knew? Stop using me as an excuse. Do you have any idea what they say about me at school? They call me the homewrecker's son, a rat from the gutter. Everyone looks at me with disgust when I try to talk to them. They avoid me like I'm trash. Daniel's eyes were bloodshot, his face contorted with rage, looking at his father as if he were his mortal enemy. "It's all your fault. If you hadn't been the other man, none of this would have happened to me." Hearing his son's heart-wrenching accusations, Ethan wept bitterly. The next second, the cold glint of metal reflected deep in his pupils. "It's all your fault, all your fault." Warm blood trickled down the knife handle. Ethan, filled with despair, uttered a final word: "Daniel." When I heard about this tragic news story, my daughter and I were vacationing under the sunny skies of the Maldives. I've already promised Sophie I'll never marry again. I will continue my family's legacy, grow the company even larger, and eventually pass it all on to her. The end.